Do you ever find yourself in a situation where you have a major paper to write, a major presentation, or a project, maybe even a major exam that you know you need to get busy and do some work for, but you just can't seem to find the start button? If this sounds familiar, then in this video, I am going to give you the powerhouse tools to put you in the position of operational control for whatever life throws your way. You know how in a college semester, you have some weeks that are calm and it's nothing much is happening, but other weeks it's just bam, bam, bam. You have papers due and exams and quizzes and presentations. It seems to all pile up. So how do you make good use of those down times, those lulls, so that you'll be ready for those high intensity weeks? If you've been following me since the beginning of this series, you know how excited I am about presenting to you the skills and the powerhouse tools to keep you ready and ready to respond to the stuff that comes your way. In today's video, I'm going to do a deep dive into step 2, which is clarify. Step 2 in the 5-step process of getting things done for teens by David Allen. Now, I've used David Allen Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity, when I was working on my dissertation, and I know his approach. This approach to getting things done works. I use this approach with many of my students. And the procrastination monster, we want to put that monster on a leash so that it's not leading us around willy-nilly anywhere it wants to go. So let's get started and do a deep dive into step 2. Step 2 is it's going to get the stuff from step 1, from our buckets, and transform the stuff into a usable and actionable form. Step 2, this clarifying, it's going to require a lot of careful thinking and decision making. And it is the ultimate 21st century tool. Because as people who live in the 21st century, we are being faced with more information than any other generation in history. What do we do with all this information, all this stuff that is being introduced to our lives from all different directions? What do we do with it? Every piece of stuff requires that our brain requires that we make a decision, that we decide what to do with it. And that's what step 2 is about. When we engage in step 2, we are avoiding wasting time and energy and attention. So here we go. We're going to let our brain take control of the steering wheel. We're going to ask monkey brain to trust our brain and just be calm and let our brain do what our brain does best. So one step at a time. Imagine this is like a decision tree. This is a decision tree. So remember the bucket that we put all our stuff in. Imagine the bucket on one end of your paper. Let's say you're drawing your decision tree. And you take one item out of the bucket and you look at it. You're going to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, what is it? What is this thing? What is this piece of stuff that you took out of the bucket? It's my math homework that was due last week. It's the laundry. It is, what is it? Give it a name. Give it a noun. That when we give something a name, then we're actually putting like handlebars on it so we can hold it and handle it and determine what to do with it. The next question is, now don't skip that step. It's a really obvious step. Don't skip it. What is it? And the next step is it actionable? This is a yes-no question, and this is the decision tree part where we're going to make the why. If it's yes, it goes to the yes branch. If it's no, it goes to the no branch. Now today, I'm only going to focus on the no branch, and the next video, I'm going to talk to you about the yes branch. So today, we're only going to look at things that the answer to that question, is it actionable? The answer is no. It's not actionable. Now, this takes some thinking. You're holding that piece of paper in your hand and asking yourself, what is it? And is it actionable? Does it require action? If the answer is no, then we're going to put that piece of paper, that piece of stuff, into one of 4 categories. And here are those 4 categories. 1 is trash. 2 is checklist. 3 is someday, maybe. And 4 is reference. Let's tackle those 4 categories in the no, it is not actionable, one at a time. First, trash. Trash is something that is unactionable, unneeded, and unwanted. But before you can put it in the trash bin or in the recycle bin, we want to give some thinking. We want to think about it. Here's some questions to help you build a case and have a solid argument to say it's trash. Here's some questions. Ask yourself this: will I truly use it or need it again? Now, we're not talking about candy wrapper. That's just garbage. We throw it in the garbage. We're talking about other things that are going to require some decision making. Will I truly use it or need it again? Do I have multiples of this item? Could I access this item online if needed? Are there consequences if I don't have this item in the future? Does this item hold emotional or sentimental value? So by asking yourself these questions, if you cannot build a solid argument for needing it later, then guess what? It's trash. And you want to delete that from your world. Put it in the trash can and delete it from your world. By deleting it from your world, and digital world and physical world, then you're removing it from your mind. And this is essential. This is a huge, powerful event that you do, action that you take, that will lower stress and help you focus. Because remember, your brain requires that you make sense of what comes into your brain. And if you have all these open loops that are unanswered, that are not taken care of, that are not addressed, then your monkey brain is going to remind you of those things at inopportune times. And it's going to come back to you, and you're going to feel overload, overwhelm, worry, stress. So by throwing away things that are unactionable, unneeded, and unwanted, you are opening up some brain space and energy so you can focus and get done the things you really want to get done. So that's the first category under unactionable. No, it is not actionable. Number 2, checklist. A checklist is a personalized list, something you develop over time to help you accomplish a specific activity. Routines, procedures, a list of previous decisions and actions that worked before, and maybe they haven't become a habit yet. These lists save you time and make life easier. The military has a checklist for tactical maneuvers. Surgeons have checklists. Pilots have checklists. This pre-thinking saves time and energy on rethinking. So here's some examples of checklists that might help you. A checklist for the things you got to do before you leave for school in the morning. A checklist of things you got to pack and take with you for a lacrosse game, your lacrosse equipment. A study for test checklist. What are the things that you did for the last exam that worked? You want to make sure you do them again. So a checklist. Number 1 was trash. Number 2 is checklist. Now, number 3. This one is my favorite. This one gave me a lot of freedom and relief when I was first introduced to this idea. And number 3 is someday maybe. Now, someday maybe is anything you may want to take action on later, but doesn't require action now. It could be books you want to read, movies you want to watch, maybe a bucket list, places you want to visit or things you want to do, vacation ideas. Maybe you want to write a book, you have book ideas. Maybe you want to invent something, some invention ideas. So any kind of ideas. This was a huge relief for me. This is a huge relief for your brain because you're not saying no to this idea. You're just saying not now. So when I was working on my research, I had so many ideas. I had so many light bulb moments, so many things I was trying to capture. And it was like a bunch of rabbit holes. I could chase that rabbit hole and I would never really get my research, my dissertation work done. So I would grab that idea and put it in my someday maybe list. Now, this allows ideas to percolate, to grow, to develop, and it relieves the pressure of guilt and procrastination. That sense of guilt, oh, I'm procrastinating. You're not procrastinating. You're putting it in your someday maybe list, and you're going to get back to it a little bit later. Trust the system here. You're going to get back to it in another step of this approach, this 5-step approach to getting things done. Okay, number 4. So we're talking about the 4 categories under no, it is not actionable. Reference. Reference is non-actionable but may be needed later. So reference could be things like directions, receipts that you might need for tax purposes, maybe your class syllabus, passwords. So reference are things that you're going to need, but you don't want to lose them. Okay, so we have 4 things, 4 categories under that decision tree under no. So remember, we started off first with our bucket with stuff that we collected in our last step. We take one piece of stuff out at a time. We ask ourselves 2 questions. 1, what is it? Go ahead and name it. Number 2, ask yourself, is it actionable? Then it becomes a yes-no question. Yes, it goes to the yes branch. This is a decision tree. No, it goes to the no branch. Today we talked about the no branch. Under it, is it actionable? No. There are 4 categories. Trash, checklist, someday maybe, and reference. So sometimes just going through the trash part, throw it in the trash, is a huge relief. For me, the biggest relief was a someday maybe, because I had so many things I wanted to get done, so many ideas. And if I put it on my someday maybe, I wasn't losing these ideas. I wasn't betraying all my creativity, but I was putting it in a safe place to address someday. Now, next video, I'm going to talk about the yes branch. You take the stuff out of the bucket, ask yourself, what is it? Ask yourself, is it actionable? Now the answer is yes, and that's what we're going to talk about in our next video. So be sure you tune in. In a week, I'll be posting these on Sunday. Talk to you soon. This is Ruth Bomar, your online academic coach.